It's the weekly show with David J. Maloney. This week, David talks to Sally Ericson from Bellingrath Gardens and Hard Rock Casino Sportsbook Director Russell Schenck with the Mo Giles Band. Now, here's your host, David J. Maloney.
Love and Tim, they're rocking out with the sitar guitar. Welcome to everyone at home and in our studio audience to the weekly show. I am your host, David J. Maloney. To my right, as always, with the guitar sitar, it's the Mo Giles. The U.S. Postal Service is now experimenting with delivery drones in early beta testing. The unmanned aircraft have shown they can significantly reduce the time it takes to lose your mail. Taco Bell has recalled 2.3 million pounds of seasoned beef. Health officials say that if you've eaten at Taco Bell and you're experiencing severe diarrhea, don't worry, that's actually completely normal. In a recent TV interview, author Ronan Farrow said rape accusations against Bill Clinton should be revisited. In a related story, it's rumored Farrow may be suicidal. That's a good joke, actually. Virgin Atlantic is said to be offering flights to the edge of space for $250,000, plus $50 for each checked bag. You should have saved it for this one. Ziggy Marley recently turned 51. If you want to send a gift, he's registered at Bud, Bong, and Beyond. There you go. In Florida, a 27-year-old meth-addicted stripper was arrested after she moved in with a 79-year-old customer and emptied his bank account. Hopefully, this isolated incident won't reflect poorly on all meth-addicted strippers. If you've never seen the weekly show before, keep watching. On tonight's show, we've got Sally Ericson from Bellingrath Gardens over in Theodore, Alabama, to chat about their nationally recognized gardens and beautiful holiday light shows. Then we've got a special segment with Russell Schenck here at the Hard Rock, so we can talk about sports betting. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. And we are back. Our first guest tonight is here to chat about Bellingrath Gardens, the beautiful nationally acclaimed gardens that sit right at the foot of Alabama. And we're going to be talking about some of the amazing events and shows that they're going to be putting on during the holidays, as they always do. Please welcome Ms. Sally Ericson. Sally, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what you do at the gardens.
Well, I'm in charge of making sure that everyone knows about our events going on.
Okay, and how did you come into that line of work?
Well, it just kind of fell together. They had an opening and I applied, and I've really enjoyed it. I've been there almost 5 years.
Oh, wow. So everybody kind of knows about Bellingrath Gardens for their big shows at Christmas time. Right. I've been there. But they actually do other things as well, right? Right.
We have events all year long, and we have blooms and beauty every day of the year. I think a lot of our guests who come down to Gulf Shores, say, in the wintertime, the snowbirds are always surprised at how many beautiful blooms we have in January and February, for example.
Yeah, and well, what's interesting is I didn't realize that so much went into the timing of making things bloom when they actually do bloom.
Right.
And I really didn't learn about it until having the opportunity to go to the Masters one year. And what they actually do is, I guess they ice the plants to keep them at a certain temperature, and then they remove it and then they bloom. Do you guys have to do things like that the same way?
Right. The big thing for us is the Easter lilies.
Okay.
We have our own chiller, and we have to start chilling the bulbs in November and December. And every year, of course, Easter moves around, so we have to time it differently every year to make sure they're blooming for Easter.
Now, the home has got some interesting history. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, yes. The Bellingraths built the home in 1935, and it looks like they both just left to go on a drive. When you walk in, you see their original possessions. You see a lot of, you just see a slice of history on the Gulf Coast in the 1930s. So it really is a neat place.
So has it changed at all since then? Or have you guys managed to preserve it in almost an identical form to what it was way back when?
Oh yes, it's very, very similar. About the only difference is we've upgraded the HVAC system.
Okay, well, there you go. Now, you guys are open daily. I know you guys, you're known for having the night stuff, but you guys have things that happen during the day too, yeah?
Right. And in this time of year, the flowers are really pretty. So I encourage people to come in the late afternoon, because then for one ticket price, you can also see Magic Christmas and Lights. The lights come on at 5. So if you come at 4, say, you can walk through the gardens and enjoy the blooms and then enjoy the holiday light show.
So you actually get the best of both worlds.
I think so, yes.
In that context. Now, you guys have had some famous folks who've come through since 1932. What can you throw some names out there?
Well, it's been a little while. We did have some movie stars come. We've had Diane Sawyer perform on the Great Lawn, and that was, I believe, in 1991.
Now you guys are famed nationally for your Christmas light shows. Tell us about that and what you've got going on this Christmas season.
Yeah, Magic Christmas and Lights. This is our 24th year to do it. It's a very large light show throughout the 65 acres, and they start hanging it around Labor Day weekend. And it's all made in Alabama. This is designed and built by our staff and maintained by our staff. So it's really special, and it's unique to a garden setting, I think. And we're just really proud of it. It usually brings in a lot of visitors, and it's always a lot of fun.
Now, you guys have different programs throughout the year, and outside of just the famous garden and holiday shows. Can you tell us about some of those?
Well, we have a series of seminars in January and February called Winter Wednesdays, and most of those are during the day, but we've also added some night programming. We have stargazing twice a year on the Great Lawn. Lots of folks enjoy that. We will have professors come in from South Alabama who will talk about what you're going to see, the constellations, possibly a few comets here and there, and then we go out and we look through giant telescopes on the Great Lawn, and that's a lot of fun. In the summer, we also have the Wonderful Wednesday series. We also have an Easter egg hunt. We have a car show in April. And then in the fall, we have Boo at Bellingrath, which is geared toward children trick-or-treating in the gardens. Lots of fun. That's
cool. So yeah, because I know they do that at like some of the zoos. They have kind of like a Boo at the Zoo thing. So Boo at the Garden kind of makes sense. What kind of? I've always wondered this myself. What kind of staff does it take? I mean, because that's a lot of ground to cover and a lot of things to make perfectly pretty at all times, right?
Oh, yes.
So what kind of staff does it take to maintain such a massive endeavor?
Well, it's usually somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 people tops. Out of that, maybe 7 main gardeners. Each gardener has maybe 1 or 2 assistants. They have segmented the gardens out to kind of keep things under control. And then we have the office staff. We are a pretty lean operation, I must say.
What do you guys do when you have unusual weather events? Like, okay, so for example, we're on the Gulf Coast, so you got to worry about hurricanes, obviously.
Yes.
And then you've got other issues where you have, I mean, it seems like now it'll be 80 degrees one day and 27 the next. How do you guys manage the crazy changes in temperatures on the Gulf Coast? And well, let's go with that first.
Well, sure. We don't do a great deal of management because I think the mindset is this is the way the gardens looked when the Bellingraths lived here, and we want to kind of let the plants fend for themselves, so to speak, because these are old growth azaleas and camellias that have been there for decades. So plants have to be kind of tough to make it at Bellingrath. They do a lot of switching out. If something doesn't look up to par, it goes out and new plants come in. So I think that's part of the reason that they don't do a lot of pampering.
Because you can replant, just acquire something because the plants are germane to this area anyway.
Right.
So it's not like you are trying to force some tropical thing into a non-tropical place like I've tried to do with some of my palm trees that don't make it every year.
Right. Well, we did have pretty bad frost a couple of Januaries ago with some of the palm trees looking kind of bad for a few months, but most of them came back. So plants on the Gulf Coast tend to be pretty resilient, which is great.
What about things like hurricanes and stuff like that? How do you guys prepare for those?
Oh, we have a game plan. We have shutters that are made to cover all of the windows of the home, and we try to take everything down that could move around. And the things most people do on the Gulf Coast. We don't do anything really dramatically differently. The main thing is making sure that the gardens are still safe and ready to go and reopen as soon as possible. So we'll have quality control go in and make sure that there aren't any low-hanging limbs or anything like that.
Anything that could fall, break,
right.
Anything along those lines become trip hazards. Things I know about.
Right.
And you guys also have a greenhouse there, right? And some fountains and
a lot of green. Well, yes, the conservatory and the rose garden that has a lot of tropical plants in it, and it has made it through storm after storm. Knock wood. So I think the gardens were built pretty tough, pretty much.
So a lot of communities do have, botanical gardens and things along those lines. Can you tell us, what you think like the importance of places like this are to local communities?
Well, gardens really, I think for your mental health, there's just nothing better than walking through a garden. So for that sense only, I think Bellingrath is a wonderful legacy. But one of the nice things to know about it is the Bellingraths were very wealthy people. Mr. Bellingrath was Mobile's first Coca-Cola bottler. And they could have left this to their heirs, but they chose to open it up to the public. And they wanted the public to enjoy what they built on the banks of the Fowl River in South Mobile County. So I just think that in itself is a great gift and a great legacy. And those of us who work there really appreciate that.
Well, I know that on more than one occasion, I've taken my family out there during the Christmas holiday season to see the lights and walk through and everything else. How can people find out more about the gardens and the ticket pricing and the hours and so on and so forth? Is there social media, website or something that you can tell us about? We'll post it right here.
Oh, that'd be great. Yes, we have bellingrath.org. That's our website. You can buy tickets for Magic Christmas and Lights on the website. I wanted everyone to realize, though, that if you buy a ticket on the website, it has a date on it. That does not mean it's set in stone. If your plans change, the ticket is still good through the end of December. Normally, people buy for the rest of the year, as opposed to Magic Christmas and Lights. People just buy tickets when they arrive. And then we have a very active Facebook page, and we also have a pretty active Twitter account, and we're semi-active on Instagram. We try to post on all of these platforms, and people seem to especially enjoy the history posts. That's always fun.
Sally, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, David.
We'll be right back. And we are back. Our last guest tonight is Russell Schenck, the Director of Table Games and Sportsbooks Operations here at the Hard Rock. He's here to chat about sports betting, walk us through the process. Please give it up for Russell Schenck. So, Russell, it's great to have you on. It's funny because we're right here where you pretty much work and almost live. So what is your formal title here at the Hard Rock?
I'm the Executive Director of Table Games and Sportsbook Operations right here.
So you're the head of both table games and the sportsbooks.
Yes, sir. I ensure that the procedures and policies for the company in those departments are upheld, and also make sure we got the right offerings on the floor, make sure that the guests are having a great time, make sure that my folks are treating everybody good right here at the Hard Rock.
Now, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of sports betting in Mississippi, and I remember because it was actually a Supreme Court case that ultimately allowed for that. Were you guys excited when it was first brought back, and what were you excited about the most?
You know what? Here's the great thing that our regulators did. Okay, when we knew this was going to the Supreme Court and they were going to have a ruling on it, Mississippi was one of the states out of about 5 states that actually prepared themselves to be ready to go full board. And how excited we were as a company to know that if this gets passed, we're going to be there. And, you know, being from the Gulf Coast, being from this area, I know, and I'm sure you do too, deep, strong fans of sports. That's all you hear down here, whether
especially
it's football.
college football.
Oh my gosh.
Especially college football.
So we were so excited. We wanted to be one of the first ones to get open. We built our permanent sports book immediately, where a lot of properties down here on the coast waited until
they were still
after,
catching up.
Yeah, they were catching up.
Yep.
We weren't. We were ahead of the game, man.
And now I think a lot of people they know about sports betting, but they really don't understand sports betting. There are certain things I kind of know, and a lot of things I really don't understand. Can you walk us through the process a little bit?
Absolutely. And as you walk into a sports book, and it's all of them, they'll have boards up on the wall, and you look up there and you're trying to figure out how to read it. So what I'll do is I'll just give you a real basic 101 on how it works. Every event, and let's just use LSU, Alabama, since they played this past weekend.
Okay.
Every event, the team will have a number out to the side of them, okay? That number represents that team. So if you go up to a sports book to make a bet, you don't say, give me Alabama. You say, I want number 321, whatever number is put to that team. Then you have 3 ways you can bet. You have a point line, a money line, and a total line.
Okay.
The point line, it'll say PL, means whatever points the underdog is going to get points, the team that's the favorite is going to give away points, which means at the start of the game, instead of 0-0, if my team, I like the underdog, is +4, I'm actually starting with a 4-point lead. So at the end of the game, I will get 4 points to the score, and I have to win. If I bet on that team, I have to win. And I'll bet $110 to win 100. Now the money line, there's no points. You're just betting which team's going to win.
Okay.
But there has to be a way for the traders or the sports book to even out the playing field.
So is that kind of like horse racing then? It's based on who bets on what?
Right. Yes. Well,
that changes the odds.
It'll change the odds.
So it isn't necessarily, correct me if I'm wrong, so then would it be like for example, if you're betting on horses, it's based on what the total pool is and what people have bet for and against certain horses.
Yeah,
is it the same kind of thing?
Yes, that's when the line is moving. See, the lines that they put out, whether it be point line, money line, is to even up the playing field so that the
casino makes the margin,
gets money on each side, and we hold 10%. We get our 10% vig. But let me explain the money line for you.
Okay.
If a team is a favorite and you look up on that board and you look at money line, you'll see a minus, let's say minus 200. If you see a minus in front of the number and you want to bet that team, that number, you have to bet that much to win $100. So if it says minus 240, I have to give the sportsbook $240. And if that team wins, I win $100.
So it's not even like 50-50 odds in that sense. It's not like a double or nothing.
So it's like if again, there's no points. So let's say Alabama is playing a Division II team, and we all know that Alabama's going to kill them. Well, more than likely, the line's like minus 3,000. You got to put up $3,000 to win $100.
Which,
right. So, but on the other side, LSU was an underdog because they were going into Alabama. The line was plus 240. With the plus side, all you do is bet $100 and you win the 240. Mm-hmm. So if you'd have bet on LSU, for every $100 you put down, you'd have won 240 back plus your bet.
And now let me ask you this. Can those odds change is it based nationwide odds, or is it based on geography? For example, the Saints are a local favorite down here on the Gulf Coast. If more people bet on it here on the Gulf Coast, or is it based on how many people bet in your particular building? Because, for example, are the odds betting for the Saints to win the Super Bowl the same odds here as they are, say, in Atlantic City?
Let me say this. What a great question, David, because this is one of the frustrations as a sportsbook director that I deal with, because every sportsbook down here partners up with a risk manager, those who set the lines and do all of that. Now, some of these companies do exactly what you say. It's just your specific sportsbook. And then there's other ones, like we use William Hill. Okay. Mm-hmm. William Hill has 11 casinos in the state of Mississippi that it does risk management for, and our odds and everything is all tied together. So they look at all the money throughout the state to change the lines, not what's at Hard Rock. So I've had this situation happen to me last year during college football where there was a lot of money up in the Tunica area going on like Kentucky. Then I had a bunch of money on LSU. All my odds are on LSU and all my money, and the line's going in the wrong direction. It's adding more money on LSU when I need the line to go the other way. But they're looking at everything. So that's an area we are working on getting better at.
So what are some of the types of different things people can bet on? I know there's a lot of crazy things you can bet on.
Sure.
So you can almost bet on anything now, right?
Yeah, I mean, not anything. The state regulators kind of, if you go out to Las Vegas
can
and
you
Nevada,
bet on golf?
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
When it comes to sporting,
can you bet on the Indy 500?
Yes. All your major sports and golf. We even take wagers on yachting, which is something I had to get some knowledge on because I didn't realize there was a yachting line, but there is. So there's all kind of ways that you can make wagers.
It's the only way you can lose money faster than actually buying a yacht.
That's it. Is betting on the yachts.
Are there things about Mississippi and sports betting Mississippi, things that are coming up that you're excited about? I want to give you the opportunity to talk about that.
You know, as the future goes with sportsbook, it's all about convenience for our guests. And one of the areas that we're going to is going to be the mobile sports betting, where you can have an app and actually bet on your app.
So you don't have to physically be in the building.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Now, I was out in Las Vegas a few weeks ago, G2E, the big gaming summit, and, you know, a lot of technology's coming down with picture-in-picture. You can be playing video poker, push a little button, sportsbook comes up, and you can make bets on the sports book. You can have your event. Let's say the Saints are playing, but you want to play slots and watch the game. Picture in picture, boom, the Saints game's up here in the corner, and you're playing, and you can make bets, and you're playing slots.
Now we just need to have personal injury commercials pop up.
That's it, right?
That's it, show.
Russell,
but
it's exciting. It's exciting.
Thank you so much.
Man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much. Hey, folks, come on down to the Hard Rock. Best place to be. Thank you again.
Ladies and gentlemen, Russell Schenck. We'll be right back. And we are back with Russell Schenck from the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino here.
Yes.
So there's been some crazy success stories with people on sports betting. I know that some years back there was a fellow who bet, I guess, on soccer, and it was like 5,000 to 1, 5,000 to 1 odds, made a boatload of money.
Made a lot, yes, sir.
I remember when I went to Vegas to go see the Capitals, play there, that there were crazy odds if they had won at the beginning. Tell us some cool success stories here.
You know, we've seen the parlays. The parlays here at the Hard Rock. You've got parlay cards where you can bet multiple teams and get great crazy odds. And this just wasn't too long ago. We had like a 12-team parlay. A guy bet $20, $20.
Just $20.
Just throwing $20, take a shot. 12 teams. A lot of them were underdogs. $26,000.
Because all 12 teams won?
Yes, all 12 teams
That's
won.
crazy. So if you know what you're doing.
Collects his $26,000. He just $20. Come in, have a little dinner, take a shot. Yeah, that's great stuff, man.
Fun. Well, thank you again for being here.
Hey,
Russell
I
Schenck.
appreciate it so much.
That's our show for tonight. Mo Giles, take us home.